Welcome back to Flint Creek Transport. I am sitting here in the red International spider truck, flatbed truck. We got us a load of stone. Guys, we're just getting it strapped down. So kind of a last minute deal. I don't know if I've ever taken a delivery out with this truck before. So these spiders are a little bit tricky to hook up, and I don't run spider every day. Probably not even every week or every month, or like hardly ever. So this is going to be a learning curve. We get this thing fired up and we're going to be heading out of here. All right, so thankfully I'm not going far. I'm going to pull out back and get the spider hooked up and see if we get it all figured out. This guy's actually brought it right up for me. Thanks, buddy. Just pull it. Ah, there we go. Gotta make sure it's right. And we got a storm coming. I have this feeling. Might get wet. Ha! I got it. Thanks, buddy. All right. We're strapped down. We're loaded. We're ready to go. We're going to try to beat the storm. I don't know if it's going to happen. All right, guys, here goes. It's windy. Hopefully the rain's missing us. It's so windy I can't set my phone down because it's going to blow over. So, here goes. All right, guys. I got it unloaded. Check it out. Oh, it's hard to run this machine with the camera and how many levers. So I'm gonna have to go back to my GoPro if I'm gonna be doing all this stuff, because the GoPro I can click on. Get these pieces off. Got to get all the stones off the deck. I think we're ready to go. I put my wallet, my keys, and all that stuff in here because I knew I was going to get wet. I just didn't know how wet. So it wasn't too bad. I actually didn't even get soaked, but I did get a little bit wet. Parked it at the shop, but I'm back. A couple things needed to get fixed on it. So developed an air leak on my way back. Time to upgrade those trucks. It's 5 o'clock. Actually, it's a little after 5. I gotta get back to work, but you never know what happens in a day. I tell you, this is the first delivery I ever did on the flatbed side with the spiders. I guess there's a first time for everything. I've ran the spiders before a little bit. I've unloaded them or like unhooked them and hooked them up like a time or two, but never any deliveries. So that was a first. Well, good morning, guys. So you got to see a little bit of trucking here in the first part of this video. Now I'm going to do a little bit of talking because I want to go over some things. So if you remember that accident that our driver had, I want to talk a little bit about that. And then I also want to talk a little bit about I got busted. Not pretty. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too. Behind me is truck 107. So I wanted to show you couple things, and I will maybe in one of the next videos, but one of our trucks, well, 2 of our trucks were in accidents. So truck 142, the truck that was on the last collector card, that truck was in an accident. Very frustrating. Thankfully it was not our fault, and I will touch more on that probably in one of the next videos, so stay tuned. What I want to talk about today though is, first off, I want to say is I got busted. Not good. I was in my pickup and I was cruising along in a construction zone, and I know I was warned. Up here in New York, we have white Jeep. They're like a white Jeep Grand Cherokee that is sitting usually somewhere in the center, close to the construction zone, and they are videoing, taking pictures, you know, any speeding vehicles. And really, it's not really a funny thing. It's shame on me. I need to slow down. Thankfully, you know, like I wasn't going over. And one thing I will say, guys, before you hit send on all the nasty comments, I try hard to pay attention when I do get into construction zone. And I know, like, I hold a CDL license. And I can say, like, I've driven here, like, I can't tell you when my last speeding ticket was. It has been a very long time, thankfully. I try to watch my speed. Now, I will drive 8 to 10 over. I don't mind driving, you know, if I'm on the thruway. I mean, most cars are going 74, 75 anyway. I mean, that's if the speed limit is 65, you're going 74, 75, you know, that's a lot of cars anyway. In a big truck, I won't drive that fast. Absolutely not. I drive a lot slower in a big truck. So this was in my pickup, and I was up in Rochester. The speed limit was 55. It was 65, drops down to 55, and I wasn't really paying attention. So, and I was in the far right lane, and I was kind of just going with traffic. And my ticket, basically they just send you a ticket in the mail, and my speed was, so the speed limit was a 55, and I was doing 67. So basically I was going 12 mile an hour over. I think if I would have been doing 65, I don't think it would have gotten a ticket. So I wasn't going fast. I was in the far right lane. I was in the slow lane. There was cars passing me. So I know for a fact that I wasn't the only one that received a ticket that day. So the reason though that this is pretty crazy, and I want to warn you guys, is there are guys working in these construction zones, and it is a high risk job. There was two guys, I think there was two guys right at the 390 exit in Henrietta that just got killed by a I don't know, I gotta pull the story up to be sure, but they were in a construction zone working, and I'm pretty sure a truck hit them, and it's very sad. You know, they're not going home to their families. So just a reminder, guys, is slow down. And here in New York State, there are these white Jeep Grand Cherokees sitting in the median usually, and they got cameras on them. And just make sure that when you see a construction zone, slow down. So a good reminder to watch your speed in these zones. This isn't points on my license. This is just simply a fine that you have to pay because I drive a company truck, and it could be, you know, they don't know who the driver is, and they just send the fine out to the license plate. So I pay for it, unfortunately. The fine was like $50, but it was still a reminder. I gotta slow down. So, all right, guys. So next up is that accident that our driver had. I will put the footage for that accident. I'll put it here. You guys can watch that here now. And you could put in some ideas if you want what happened. But seeing that video, you know, I looked at that multiple times. Basically, there was a couple things that played into this accident. One is speed. He was going a little too fast for the whole situation, right? And second of all, there was gravel. There were like little stones on the road that they probably cinder the roads with, and the roads needed to be swept. Whatever, that is what it is. And then probably third is he wasn't quite paying attention. We still have the driver working here. He's a great guy, and this is a learning experience. Even my accident, my speeding ticket, again, I'm sharing that with you guys as a learning experience. So trust me, I'm not speeding again through work zones because I don't want another ticket. And they usually park those Jeeps at like hidden spots. So this is a learning video before you judge. Driver wasn't quite paying attention, and he overreacted. It's basically, long story short, he overreacted, seen it, stabbed the brakes, and then the truck went into a slide. And these are all lessons that, you know, we sit down with the driver, we go over it. You know, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been way worse, but thankfully it wasn't. We can replace trucks, but we can't replace people. The guy was definitely shook up a little bit, and but like I said, he's still driving. He's still working for us. That is really, you know, overall, he's been a great guy. No reason to fire guys. I like to train guys. You know, this is still, we all learn. We make mistakes. It could have been a lot worse. You know, every accident we look at, you know, we try to look at all angles, all sides of it. And we also look at safety scores. So that's why we have on our dash cams, there's like a little gyro, and I can show you here in this truck. It all is in this camera up here. So that little black thing right there. So there's like a little ball in there, whatever, that senses when these guys are going around corners, when they are jamming the brakes and all those things. And so what we look at is a driver's score, right? And if the driver has a good score or not, oftentimes determines, you know, how his driving is overall. So when a guy's cornering too hard, when a guy's jamming the brakes, that all triggers, and it gives us a 30-second clip of what happened. And then we can sit down with the driver and go over it and say, hey, we gotta see some improvement here. And I work with the guys. I try very hard to work with the guys. I love our drivers. They do awesome. And they're out in it every day. I go out in it for half a day sometimes, you know, and I get frustrated. It's like, man, how do you guys put up with this all day long? And it's just, you know, driving truck today is a lot different than driving even 10, 15, 20 years ago. There's a lot more traffic on the road. It seems like people are becoming a lot more impatient. Cars do not respect big trucks. They will pull right out in front of you. Sometimes it's even other big trucks not respecting, you know, other big trucks. So they won't let you out, or they'll cut you off, or it's different. You know, back in the day, you know, guys would do it. I felt like it anyway. Just guys would do a whole lot more for, you know, another big truck or a fellow trucker. So that's kind of what I want to go over today. So these mistakes, these accidents could have been a lot worse. And I'm just thankful for opportunities that we can learn. We can learn from these and that's what I would try to give our guys is, you know what, I want to learn. How can we learn from the mistake? How can you not do it again? You know, letting a guy go just because he made a small mistake. I mean, yes, that will cost us some money to fix up, but it's kind of, I look at, you know, a truck like that. It wasn't a new truck. Thankfully, it was just a flatbed and it didn't damage the whole sleeper. Like if it was a walk-in floor, it'd probably been a little bit worse. So the truck is at the paint shop right now, and I'm going to see if I can get up there and take a look at it. They have it all tore apart, and they are going to actually paint the whole truck. That paint job, it was this color, and they're going to repaint it that same color. I was like, I got to have at least one truck that plum color, because that was a color that we had a lot of trucks of, and that was also our first truck. A 1993 Kenworth T800 was that plum color, and that's what we're painting that color, that truck. So we're painting the whole truck. The hood was actually repainted, so it didn't quite match the cab. And then I'm like, if we try to match the cab to what the hood, or like now we're gonna have a tricolor truck. So we're just gonna repaint everything. We're gonna repaint everything on that truck, and then eventually, probably this next winter or whatever, we'll repaint the frame. So for now, that truck's gonna have a nice painted cab. While it's down, we might as well just paint everything. Is kind of the thought. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know. Maybe we should have handled it a little bit different, but I do appreciate our drivers. I know. Like, I'll say this. God has been very good to us. I know that we will not get by scot-free every single year having 30 trucks running 2 million miles plus a year. To be able to go 2 million plus miles a year and not have any accidents. There's gonna be mistakes. There's gonna be accidents. Like, that's inevitable. It's gonna happen. And it's just a matter of how bad of an accident are you having. And that's why we try to do our best to prevent accidents. When we do have an accident, I don't want it to be our fault. But sometimes our drivers have to be vigilant, and they have to be watching and making sure, and sometimes calculating for the poor driver that's making bad decisions, to give plenty of time. We just had one of our drivers, we had a fellow that started not long ago, and within 1 month, it was like just this little bad luck thing, but within 1 month, he, on his first week of training, he was riding with, and he got ran off the road. So he got ran off the road. A truck started passing another truck, and just like, and it would have been a head-on collision if he wouldn't have gotten over. Thankfully, the guy was slowed down, was driving at a reasonable speed. He saw it happening, slowed down, got over, you know, and then the next one was, this guy was headed south. Actually, I probably can't release that one, but he was headed south here on a local route, and a car in front of him, or coming towards him, went head on into another car. And thankfully, again, this guy was maintaining a safe speed, or a safe distance from the car in front of him. And if he wouldn't have been hitting or maintaining that safe distance, he would have been involved in the accident. But he was able to get stopped in time before the accident. So that's very key, guys, is maintaining safe distance, watching your speed, you know, just being careful on the road. And that's what this video is about, is to help you guys, you know, just a good reminder for you to remember to maintain safe distance, remember to watch your speed, don't speed in construction zones, and be careful, be safe out there, guys. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Peace out.